You're listening to the 808s and Joysticks podcast, now available on iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn Radio, and iHeartRadio.
Welcome to the E3 coverage special of 808s and Joysticks. In this show, we will be discussing Nintendo's E3 conference 2019. I'm Tairell, and joining me for this special, as always, is Tom.
Yeah, so Nintendo basically killed it with their E3 this year compared to everyone else. I think that's a pretty definitive conclusion that we both made.
I think Nintendo won still. I'm not even going to lie.
Yeah. And they had a lot of Dragon Quest stuff in, which is something that I like. So, now, I was excited to find out that Dragon Quest protagonists, multiple Dragon Quest protagonists, are now coming to Smash Brothers later this year. It's coming later this summer, which is good, you know. I like seeing the cross between, you know, different franchises and Nintendo with the Smash Brothers franchise, and they're really sort of pushing out there this year. They've had Persona already, now Dragon Quest, you know. They can keep adding like new stuff to that and just keep expanding that roster. What do you think about that?
Yeah, the Dragon Quest DLC was such a nice surprise. Just to go to show the Super Smash Bros. Game is forever extending. It is becoming the ultimate Smash Bros. Game. The roster is so massive now, and that wasn't even the only DLC as well, as they also had Banjo and Kazooie as DLC, which a lot of people were speculating to become Smash Bros. DLC, even though they teased us a little bit by putting the Duck Hunt characters instead of Banjo-Kazooie. It was clearly Banjo-Kazooie that was the silhouette, and I just thought that was a nice little reveal that was more towards the end of the direct. But yeah, going back to Dragon Quest, they went from the Dragon Quest DLC straight into the Dragon Quest 9 Definitive Edition, which we've already previously spoke about. If you go and listen to the Square Enix show that we've also done, that you can find on 808sandjoysticks.com on most streaming services, you can find all of our E3 specials.
Just want to point out,
we spoke
Dragon Quest 11 as well, not 9.
Oh, sorry, not 9. Dragon Quest 11 Definitive Edition. My bad. Yeah. So that is also coming to the Switch, and it's coming out on September the 27th. Yeah, that would be just a nice little additional thing, really, for the Switch. Its game list is just growing every few months when they bring out a new direct, and we already knew that E3 was going to be a very important direct for them, as you'll get to know as we keep going down this list of announcements. Bringing us on to our next biggest announcement, which is Luigi's Mansion 3, which is coming out later this year on the Switch. And this is the third game in the Luigi's Mansion series, and has become probably less of a cult classic now, and become basically a Nintendo staple. No, I know you have a Switch, Tom, so will you be picking up Luigi's Mansion 3, or is this not really your type of thing? Were you impressed by this?
Yeah, so it's something that I thought that I'd be not that impressed by, but after watching the gameplay reveal trailer, and they went a bit in depth on it as well, a little bit, does look really interesting. There's multiplayer aspects to it as well, so that looks interesting. And there's also some new features in there. So there's the burst suction shot, Gooey Luigi as well. So Gooey Luigi, you can turn into him as well when playing a single player mode, and he can fit through certain obstacles that you can't. So I thought that, you know, that they've really put a lot of thought into this. There's a lot of good features that they have put towards this game, and even for someone that's not that interested in the game, I become more and more interested in it as I was watching. So it's definitely something that I'd be looking to pick up, especially if some of my friends pick it up that have Switches as well. Then it's definitely a game that would be good to play multiplayer. and it is coming out later this year. It is available in 2019. Not a confirmed release date yet, but it is going to be 2019. So it's good to have another first party Nintendo game coming this year as well, along with Super Mario Maker 2, which they did the direct on very recently anyway, which is coming very soon, next month, I believe.
Yes. I thought it was really, basically it was just like a innovation and an addition to an already classic title, and it's just had like a bunch of new features that can just innovate on the game. And I like the look of it. I don't have a Switch. Hopefully I will have one in the future, and I liked playing the original Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube. So yeah, it just looked good. It just looked good. So I'm happy that they announced that and they showed off some gameplay. Moving on, which was like a little bit weird and I didn't really see coming personally. But recently, Dark Crystal, which was a film from back in the 80s, which had David Bowie in there as well, was quite popular and became a cult classic, and is now got a TV series on Netflix. And now there's a tactic game that has been announced for the Switch that is also coming out, called The Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Tactics. Now, I'm not quite sure like whether this is like a game that's already existed or if this is a brand new game, because the game just kind of looks like, it looks a bit old. It doesn't really look very like, isn't look very exciting to me. Like, I don't know if that's just because I'm not really a big fan of tactical games, but I really didn't really find this too crazy. I just thought, it kind of works for the Switch because it's like a smaller title. What do you think about this, seeing as you're much more into tactical games than me, and you will probably play it a lot more because you have a Switch?
It plays into the whole Mario Rabbids sort of thing. So if you are a fan of Dark Crystal and you're a big fan of that franchise, then even if it's a tactical game, you're probably likely to play it just because you like that franchise so much and you'll understand everything that's going on in the story and the characters, stuff like that. Same was sort of for Mario and Rabbids. It's a tactical game, no one really cares about them that much, but because it's Mario and Rabbids at the same time, then it was a big hit because people enjoyed those characters, and then those characters together as well added an extra element to it.
Exactly.
I don't think it's going to be as big as a hit as that, but I think it's a nice thing to have. There's not been a lot of Dark Crystal stuff, and a lot of people do love that film. Like you were saying, it is a cult classic. So to have the TV series coming back out, and Netflix as well wanting to partake in games a lot more this year.
Netflix is really, really trying to drive home that they're getting involved with different games development studios, and I can really see Netflix trying to implement games and their content a lot more, and that could give them the edge over Disney in the streaming wars if that is the case, because they could use game IPs which won't necessarily be as expensive as some of these other IPs and create brand new TV shows and films from these IPs and make brand new games with these studios, which could be really smart. And I can see Netflix probably doing that. That's the only reason why I can think that Netflix won't be in trouble when Disney Plus come out, is if they've got something just as impressive on the way as well. Thoughts about that, Tom? Do you think that Netflix will be trying to do more game collaborations?
Yeah, I believe so. They said that this year they're going to be there in a big way. They have done. They've announced this Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Tactics game in conjunction with them. So they have been like helping with it. Their logo was in the corner. There's the Stranger Things game that they've announced at E3 as well this year. So they're definitely looking at making something like this. And this will be the first game that Netflix has worked on towards the Switch as well. So with Netflix coming to the Switch as well, it definitely shows that they're trying to, get into that gaming market in some way, whether it be...
Oh, and they've got the Division movie as well. Mm-hmm. That's coming out as well. That's also a Netflix film. So, yeah, Netflix really are trying to make a statement at E3 by the looks of it. And I'm happy with that. I'm happy with more of the games we enjoyed being adapted to the smaller screens or maybe even the big screen. So, I am happy with that. Moving on from that as well, we've seen some more gameplay of the Link's Awakening remaster, which just looks really cute, to be honest. I'm not even gonna lie.
It's basically, it is a remake, I think, now.
This is basically a remake, yeah. I'm not even gonna lie, the game just looks really nice, and it just looks like a very charming game. It looks bright, it looks colourful. It also introduced a brand new feature that allows you to make your own dungeon, which is amazing. And I think that just adds a new element to an already celebrated title. And it just goes to show that you can not just have to remaster a game, you can bring new elements to the game, just as we're just fresh off the heels of the Square Enix show. We were talking about how Square have tried to extend the life cycle of their games, and they've took the Final Fantasy VII game and they've delved into the universe and the world and brought out new elements and new levels of the game that were never in the previous game. And I feel like that's what Zelda Link's Awakening is trying to do as well, where they're trying to extend the universe of the game and bring forth more features that they maybe wish they probably could have put in the game back when they were first developed. So I think that's going to be, it's really, really cool.
The drag and drop dungeon creator was just sort of, it was a really good feature that I wouldn't have thought of. But these games were known for their dungeons and their puzzles, so to be able to pick and choose what you want to do and just create your own adventure and just keep doing that, so much replayability in that. Especially considering it's an older game, like you said, there's a remake of an older game, so not that many people are interested if they've already played the game. But now, with the new style that's there and the added features, it's definitely worth a purchase. I think I'd definitely purchase it, to be honest. I think I'm going to find it hard not to.
Yeah, exactly. Especially if you haven't had a chance to actually play the old Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening. Now you can play the remake, and it has much more things you can do in there. And yeah, it's coming out on Switch. I'm pretty sure it's not going to be too expensive. So definitely go and pick that up. Also, going on from that, they went straight into Trials of Mana, which is a remake of a previously Japan-only role-playing game called Seiken Densetsu 3. And it's coming to the Switch next year, and it's getting its global release. Also, the first 3 Mana games in the collection were never released outside of Japan and are now being released globally as well on the Switch, which is amazing. So these are games that have never been played before by Western audiences, or people have had to have the Japanese version, which, as you say, that can be quite hard to play through, and you would need a guide, or you would need to speak English and Japanese if you were a person in the West that wanted to play this game. Yeah, so this is just really great for gamers around, and just the fact that we can play some of these older titles that were never ever, available previously in the West, and now they're being made available on the Switch. Seems to be the home for those kind of games now. So yeah, it's really, really amazing.
Yeah, I must say that it's nice to see games that you would have been released on like a Game Boy or something back in the day now coming to Switch in a different continent. Is really, really refreshing to see that. Especially the fact that, these are being remastered or remade and also just being ported digitally, so they're there forever now. Like, I think that's a really good thing, because a lot of good games were released only in certain countries, or only certain versions were released in certain countries, but now they're being made digitally. That means that you're always going to be able to get your hands on them at any point, unless they get removed from that store. But if you own it, then you own it outright. So I think it's a good, solid thing that's happening in the games industry again. Something that we keep speaking about. But we'll speak about games that probably shouldn't be coming to something as handheld as the Switch, and they are. And that's The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Definitive Edition is coming to the Switch. What are your thoughts on this?
I thought it was crazy. I was like, whoa, The Witcher 3, like, that's such a massive, expansive game, and for it to be coming with a DLC, which some people say is a standalone game in itself, is just, I just really want to know how this is going to run on the system. I want to know how it's going to play. I can already see there's been some graphical downgrade, which is natural.
So I can tell you the details about the graphical downgrades if you'd like to.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So in handheld mode, The Witcher 3 runs at 540p.
Whoa, okay.
And in docked mode, it runs at 720p.
Okay, well, on a small screen like that, 540p shouldn't really be that much of an issue. But I do feel like that is a bit of a cop-out. I don't know, how do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, The Witch is a good game, a really good game. It's obviously going to be best to be played on PC or console. I like the fact it's come to Switch. I like the fact that it's now portable, but you know, it all depends. If you're a big fan of The Witcher and you've wanted to take it around with you for a long time and you don't mind the graphical downgrade, then I see no problem in it. But if you're a first timer to it, then I would recommend getting it on PC or console before going for the Switch version to get like the full experience.
Yeah, exactly. I did see some graphical downgrade. Like, it was very noticeable. That was the only thing that I had a problem with. Apart from that, the announcement is great. Comes with all the DLC, and it's coming this year as well. So that's another, just like an extra bonus on top. As I said, we've got a bunch of announcements to still get through. These are just little ones though. So we've got Fire Emblem Three Houses, which is coming on July the 26th, in 2019. It's just a story trailer.
Yeah, we already pretty nice. I think
we've already know about this game. Yeah, so this is just basically just saying what the story is about, and it looks really interesting. It looks like an anime. So yeah, pick that up if you're a big fan of the Fire Emblem series, or you want to try a Fire Emblem game. And this is the brand new one that's coming out. It's the newest edition of the role-playing series. Just in case if you get confused, as Fire Emblem does have a few different mainline games that focus on different gameplay elements. So this is the role-playing Fire Emblem games, not like the base building ones or like the tactical ones. So yeah, Fire Emblem Three Houses. Also, we have Resident Evil 5 and 6 heading to the Switch. Don't think Capcom should even bothered with this because they're not really good Resident Evil games. But, I guess this is just great for people who want to play Resident Evil 5 and 6 on the Switch. Just more games really in it for you to play on your console. So
I mean, do like they did in the trailer. Find an abandoned house somewhere, take your Switch there, sit it down, take your girlfriend with you, and then play Resident Evil 5.
I had no idea that wasn't even 5, you know. I think that was
6, yeah.
Was it 6? No, I thought it was 2.
I thought it was 6.
I don't know. I always thought that was Resident Evil 2 when you're in the house. Oh, no. Either way,
Are you on about the house, or are you on about the gameplay that was on the Switch?
The gameplay that was on the Switch, I swear that was Resident Evil 2. I don't know.
I don't think so.
I have no idea. It was the old one, like the remastered version, because so far on the Switch they've got something like 6 different Resident Evils on there now, but they don't have the HD remake though. Yeah, look, I got it on here now. 1 second, I'm just playing it. So now available is Resident Evil 1, Resident Evil 0, Resident Evil 4. Now 5 and 6 will be available in fall 2019. The Resident Evil that they were playing was just Resident Evil 1, I think. So, yeah, but then they also showed footage of Resident Evil 5 and 6. As I said, they're not very good Resident Evil games. So I don't know if really, yeah, pick them up if you want to play them. That's what I would say.
Yeah, you'd probably pick them up for cheaper on PC, but...
Yeah, you probably can, to be honest.
But like you said, it's good to see games like that just coming to Switch anyway for handheld purposes.
Yeah, like either way, it's just more games in it for the Switch. Yeah, moving on, we're going quite fast. No More Heroes 3.
Are you excited?
Looks crazy. I'm excited, yeah, because No More Heroes 1 was sick for the Wii. Like, I remember playing at my uncle's house and thinking it was such a crazy game. And then number 2 came out, but it is a little bit weird that number 3 is coming out because I think 1 and 2 has been released on PlayStation and now 3 is becoming a Switch exclusive again. So I'm a little bit kind of like miffed by why they've done this. And they've not decided to release it on, or maybe it might be a timed exclusive. So I don't know. It could be a timed exclusive. What do you feel about this?
To be fair, we don't know if it is exclusive that much. A lot of Switch trailers normally just say that it's coming to Switch and don't really give any more detail. So we'll have to see. Sorry. It is built with the Unreal trailer, apparently, so that does give a lot of availability to be ported to other platforms. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if we've seen it being ported to another platform at some point.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to it anyway because No More Heroes is a really good series. And it's Suda51, who is a legend and a GOAT. So we'll see. We'll just have to see what this is. But moving on to some real bullshit now. I can't believe they actually had the audacity to even pull up. I don't even know why Nintendo even gave them a spot. These fucking people at Konami, they have the audacity to release a brand new Contra game. And then say that they've got the Contra collection coming out on the Switch. Like, oh, whoa, wow, Konami, you're going to release a bunch of old ass games. Like, it's just so sickening how they actually treat their IPs. Like, that Contra game looks like a piece of shit. Like, why are they doing this?
Yeah, I must agree with that. The new game does look like...
Why are they doing this? Why are they doing this? Like, it's like a top-down shooting game, and it looks fucking terrible. Like, it looks like someone made this years ago.
It looks worse than some mobile games I've seen.
I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck why are they doing this for? God, it just pisses me off how much they've got good IPs. You're telling me you couldn't make, like, a real brand new Contra game that isn't top-down? Like, you couldn't make, like, a Contra game. Like, instead you're deciding to make this half-baked Contra game that no one wants to play.
Well, we've seen what they did with Metal Gear, so it's not surprising.
Oh my god.
But we won't
anyway, Death Stranding out this year anyway, so fuck it, fuck what everyone heard. Death Stranding soon.
Nah. Daemon X Machina, which we did see last year.
I like that game. Yeah, it's coming September the 13th. It's got an announcement date now. So, I mean a release date.
Mm-hmm. Does look very
September
good.
the 13th.
It's got a very nice style to it. Like, aesthetically. It's a little bit cell-shaded, but not.
But not, though. Yeah, I like... Don't you think, like, the colours are really, like, vibrant? Like, some of the, like, the particle effects and that, like, really stand out. But not in, like, a really offensive way, though. Like, in, like, a way where, like, it works within the game.
Yeah, it looks very anime-esque, you would say.
Yeah, it does. I really like the style of the game, and I can't wait to play it because it's not also just, like, in the mix. It looks like you can actually play the game, like, as, like, a human as well, and you'll be doing, like, on-the-ground missions as well. So this looks like it's shaping up to be a really interesting, like, mech game. So anyone who's really interested in mech, Gundams, Zone of the Enders, cell shaded art, anime, I think you would really enjoy this game.
Mm-hmm. And then the big one, a remake of Panzer the Dragon.
Yo, I was gassed. I was like, what the hell? I was like, how they just got this little remake? Like, Sega's been working on this one in the back. They're just chilling, and it's coming this winter as well. Insane.
Forget about Spyro coming to Switch. This is the Dragon game.
This is the real Spyro. Like, but yeah, it does look pretty good as well. It does look like a good remake, and yeah, if you don't know about Panzer, like Dragon or Dragoon or however you want to pronounce it, definitely do your research. It's a classic game. Like, a lot of people have it high on their list of like games that they love. So yeah, can't wait for that to come out. That was a real surprise, that was. And next on the list we have another game as well called Astral Chain, which is another kind of mech game, but it's so different.
Oh, like, this looked interesting.
This looked great, and it's coming out on the 30th of August as well. That's really soon. 2019, and it's a Platinum Games game. So I already expected combat to be like super sick, but it reminds me a lot of Nier Automata.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is also done by Platinum Games, and I can see where the same battle systems have been used within this game as well. By the way, where is the Nier Automata sequel? That was also missing from Square Enix as well, because that is in the works too, apparently. So maybe this is what Platinum have been working on, and it looks really interesting.
Yeah, the concept for this game is interesting. Like, you're tied to a mech, but when you're in danger, that mech protects you, and when they're in danger, vice versa. But the mech changes into all sort of things, so it could be a bow and arrow, your shield, a jetpack for you, like a thing to roam around on, or it just splits out into its own entity and starts helping fight with you. Like, it's crazy. And the whole Astral Chain thing as well, having the chain ability, so being able to chain down big monsters. I just think it looks like a really, really interesting game. Probably one that's going to be slept on a little bit, but I feel like it's going to be highly regarded when it does come out.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the game will definitely be very popular within Japan, and will probably be like one of those games like Nier, and it will just do really well, and it will just start doing even more well, and then it will probably get a console release on PS4 and Xbox, and probably PC as well. But I think at the moment it is looking to be a Switch exclusive. I'm not too sure about that. I'm about to double check just in case I'm wrong. Yeah, Nintendo Switch only.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we will get a release on other platforms, but yeah, at the moment only you can really play it, and hopefully we'll both get a chance to play it. And yeah, directed by Takahisa Tora, who previously was the lead game designer for Nier Automata, and is under supervision by the Bayonetta series creator Hideki Kamiya. So that just goes to show already why the game looks so much like in Nier and has impressive battle systems akin to Bayonetta. Bayonetta 3 as well. Not any mention of that to C3.
Yeah,
which is quite strange.
Yeah, saying that it does come out soon though, I think. So, well, anyway, Empire of Sin is a new game being brought to us from the creator of Doom, John Romero, and he's working with Paradox Interactive, who works on Cities Skylines, to bring a 1920s mafia strategy game. And it's coming to Switch, Xbox One, PS4, and PC. It's called Empire of Sin. Looks interesting. But again, it's quite a sort of top-down strategy-esque style shooter game. I'm not
a lot
sure.
of these kind of games, I don't know where everyone's got the memo that that's the kind of game that needs to just be made so it could be fit on all consoles. We just have to make like top-down strategy games now, like so like it could be ported to the mobile like later on. I thought that's what a lot of people's plans are to do, is like, oh, we get a game that's like lightweight enough, we can port it to the mobile as well and it'll be easy. Like,
the interesting thing about this, though, is at the end of the trailer, it zooms out and you see different areas. That you see the map with white houses, but logos and different coloured houses representing things like casinos, bars that are held by different mafia gangs, I assume, and stuff with money logos over the top. So, whilst the trailer mainly relied on action, it does seem like there is going to be a lot of strategy involved in it, and this is a game that I feel like they should have gave more information about that side of it rather than just showing the action for it, because I feel like that's the main important side for a game like this, especially if I'm going to be playing a game like this, which it does interest me. I'll focus more on that side of it than the action side of it, because I know it's not going to be up to par with a game such as like the actual Mafia series, you know?
Yeah, because at first I thought it was going to be like some type of Mafia game, but then I was like, Romero Studios, I was like, as in the John Romero, like, yeah, I was quite surprised he actually made a game like this, because this isn't really up his street, and I'm pretty sure the last game he was working on was a first-person shooter, so I'm not quite sure where this came from. So, yeah, it launches next spring. I probably won't pick it up, but I know you probably maybe give it like a quick play and a review, so hopefully we can see what you have to say about that. Moving on to just next little few sections of games until we get down to like the big bits, the big reveals. We've got Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 Black Order. Also, they announced the expansion pack is also coming for that game. That comes out July 19th. 4-player cooperative game. We already knew about this. A lot has been said about this game. It's still a Switch exclusive. Yeah, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, the Black Order.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I like the fact that the expansion pass, it does feature content from Marvel Knights, X-Men, and Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
And then the 4-player co-op as well. I feel like if you've got a Switch and you like Marvel, this is probably the game to play for co-op.
Until the Avengers game comes out, and if you have other consoles, you'll be able to play the Avengers game, which is a co-op game. But I feel like they may try and put that on the Switch one day. Maybe one day.
I doubt it.
Do you think it's just too powerful? Like, the game is just too much?
Yeah, I feel like they want people to just, like, live the cinematic experience of it, which is quite hard to do on a Switch.
But I don't know. We could probably get into like a longer like debate about, you know, what the Switch's true purpose is, and because I feel like sometimes it does get confused in what kind of like system it wants to be, because it wants to be the big, like, you know, home console, but it also really wants to like appease the handheld audience, and has a lot of these kind of like top-down games which can really like not bloat the system, but like there's a lot of like smaller titles with only a few big games. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I feel like Nintendo are really trying to figure out their niche and where the Switch fits within like the ecosystem of game consoles at the moment, and they're doing a good job of trying to like figure it out so far.
I feel like, you know, they're doing a good job at keeping within both spaces, but primarily it is still a handheld console. It's not as powerful as the next, and as next gen kicks in, we will start to see that a lot more as well. But you know, there's a lot of good. This is a great place for indie games and games that people wouldn't play on other systems. And a game that's coming in 2 days, well, a day now, June 13th, is Cadence of Hyrule. It's from the creators of Crypt of the Necro Dancer, and it is a rhythm action game starring Link and Zelda. So I think it's a quite cool, unique game, something that you wouldn't see on another platform, but definitely something for Zelda fans that want something different. If you're a fan of rhythm games and action games and Zelda, then it's a perfect fit for you. So, you know, what more can you really want there?
Yeah, exactly. I already know this is like based upon an already popular like rhythm game, so basically this is just their version, like the Nintendo version, should I say, of that game. Moving on, we have Mario and Sonic at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. We already spoke a lot about this in in a previous show. They didn't really show much more other than what we already knew. It's the Olympics. It's coming in November 2019. I'm really excited about the actual Olympics game, but this game is also really was a really cool and fun game back in the day when they did used to come out with the Olympics. And yeah, I could just see it be like a family fun game. You know, everyone gets involved. You know, just kind of like silly party games. You know, you can just have fun, nothing too serious. And nice to see Mario and Sonic back together again, I guess. I feel like Sonic's had a pretty tough run. Kind of well deserved, and yeah, I don't think that film's going to really help. So
we'll see.
Yeah, we will see. We will see.
But the big ones. Let's quickly just talk over some other Switch ports that are coming. There was a quick sizzle reel that they put off. So
I've got an entire list of it if you want me to read it out.
Yeah, so I've got some here. I've got Spyro the Reignited Trilogy, which we mentioned earlier, Dead by Daylight, and Dragon Quest Builders 2, which we already spoke about in the Square Enix show. And then there was some more, but I think you've got the list for that.
I've got down on my notes. I've got Ni no Kuni's coming, Hollow Knight is coming, Minecraft Dungeons, Elder Scrolls Blades, which we've already spoke about, My Friend Pedro, Doom Eternal, The Sinking City, Alien Isolation, Final Fantasy, Crystal Chronicles Remaster, Stranger Things 3 game, Just Dance 2020, Catan, New Super Lucky's Tale, Dauntless, and obviously Super Mario Maker 2. So that was just included in their little sizzle reel that they had. Quite a few games. I was quite surprised about Alien Isolation, to be honest. But it seems like Sega's working pretty hard with Nintendo at the moment to bring new games to older titles to Nintendo systems. Yeah. So yeah, nice to see Sega and Nintendo working together.
Yeah. So quickly, something that wasn't mentioned that much in the conference was Pokemon Sword and Shield. Now, we already got a trailer for that last week. And we've seen the new features, I think it's the Dynamics battle now, where Pokemon, huge Pokemon, they battle against each other. And then after the presentation, Nintendo went to the Nintendo Treehouse and did a full 30-minute live section on Pokemon Sword and Shield. So if you want to go and watch that, that will be online on YouTube now on their channel. We got to look at the environment, the wild, which looks really beautiful. It looks very Breath of the Wild like, which is surprising. And then we also got a look at the wild Pokemon. So you can see wild Pokemon roaming about, but you also bump into wild Pokemon in the grass as well. Just randomly, which is, interesting. There's no catch mechanic like in Pokemon Let's Go. So there's no catching. This is a sole Pokemon RPG. The other details that were given were that you can only transfer Pokemon from this game to so only Pokemon from the Sword and Shield region are able to be transferred to and from this game, which is unfortunate, but they did explain the reasons for that, saying that the amount of work they'd have to do for over 800 Pokemon, it wasn't worth it. So those Pokemon are in game, but you can't transfer existing Pokemon over to the game because of that. Other things, the UI there looks really nice. It's quite a modern feel to the UI, and there's quite a big aspect on not co-op, but sort of multiplayer features as well. So you can have actual co-op or multiplayer raid battles as such in Pokemon Sword and Shield now, where there's big sort of red lasers coming up from the ground, red lights coming up from the ground, shining up into the sky, basically like shrines in Breath of the Wild, and they now contain Dynamics Pokemon, which are huge Pokemons that you have to team up to battle and take down, and then you have the chance to catch them after that as well. So yeah, they've really put a lot of effort into this Pokemon, it seems, for the new system, and it does really look good, but there's not as much I can say, but if you want to have a look for it yourself, then I definitely recommend going looking for yourself, because I could only say so much, but the footage speaks for itself. I don't think you've seen a lot of that, so I just sort of covered mainly all of that there, as it wasn't covered in the presentation too much. Yeah,
and also a lot of Pokemon like projects were announced as well that we haven't really spoke about. Like Pokemon Masters is coming this year.
Mm-hmm.
That is a
Home.
brand new, Pokemon Home, Pokemon Masters. Pokemon Masters, we'll start off with, is a upcoming free-to-play mobile game for Android and iOS, and that apparently includes all the Pokemon Masters from all the generations. Then you will basically battle against each other. Not too sure about the game itself. I don't think too much has really been revealed about this so far. But all I can say is that it's going to be a brand new and interesting venture into the smartphone territory once again. Pokemon is really trying to focus on patterning down the smartphone territory. As I said, that is a new emerging market, and the Asian territory and the over in the East, they really use mobile gaming more than Western audiences for more important games and more core games, should I say, like hardcore games.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have Pokemon Sleep as well and Pokemon Home, which are also very vague at the moment. They haven't really said too much about those two things.
Pokemon Home is basically a place to store all your Pokemon from all Pokemon games. And they did confirm that is going to be compatible with the new Pokemon game of Sword and Shield as well. So,
but it said not all Pokemon can be imported into Sword and Shield, though.
Yeah.
So just be careful. Not all Pokemon can be imported to Sword and Shield.
It's only Sword and Shield region Pokemon that can be imported, which is what they confirmed.
Yeah.
But there's two more things that we've got left. Two big things that we've got left. The first one, Animal Crossing New Horizons was announced. Again, we actually seen a bit of gameplay this time. And there's going to be online functionality where you can play with players, multiplayer as well, by the looks of it. They did do an in-depth in the Treehouse again. We haven't got the chance to watch that one yet. But, that is also out there if you want to take a look at that and you're a big fan of Animal Crossing. I'm looking forward to this game. I think it's going to be an interesting game. What do you think?
Yes, definitely. I miss Animal Crossing. I used to play it on the DS all the time, and it was just such a nice game. I like how this new Animal Crossing looks. They've obviously reimagined the game, and it looks a little bit more different to how we first seen the game. Also, a big difference as well is that the game is now releasing on March 20th, 2020, where it was supposed to be coming out this year. Nintendo said that they delayed the game just because they wanted to make sure it was right. That's fine. As long as you're giving people reasoning why they're behind their delaying the game, and you know for a fact that the game's going to come out and it's not going to be a piece of shit. So
there's also rumors that they're delaying the game for developer well-being as well.
Oh, which is amazing. If that is the case, then I'm really glad that they're trying to take a look at the well-being of their developers and how hard they're working on a game and making sure that, you know, that they're okay and we're not having issues that have been rife within the gaming industry this year about mental health within their workplace and exhaustion and crunch time and incentives and bonuses and all sorts of these crazy things that are going on in order to make developers work harder than they possibly need to work. So, yeah. Animal Crossing coming March 20th, 2020. Looks really, really nice. Looks happy. Looks fun. Looks relaxing. So yeah, go grab that. We've got the last thing, which we can't really even speak much about because they gave us such small information. And there's no release date. There's no nothing. We're gonna be waiting for this game for years for anything. Like, we don't even know. So, I feel like you have more of a right to talk about it first, and then I'll just give my impression because I don't really know what to say about it.
Yeah, so straight away when the trailer kicked in, I had a feeling it was going to be this, but a lot of people didn't. A lot of people were a bit confused. A lot of people wanted Metroid, something that wasn't there this year. So,
again.
Don't know where that game's gone. But to make everyone happy, Nintendo did announce that the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel is currently in development. The trailer says the sequel to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is now in development. And that's it. Well, that's not the whole trailer. They did put a nice cinematic together, showing how the world is now, what Zelda and Link are doing. And then you've seen the actual castle starting to take off a little bit. So it does mean that there might be floating islands in the next Breath of the Wild in the sequel, which is going to be really cool if that's the case. But it's just speculation. We didn't see a lot. The trailer's online. Go watch it.
I think I like the fact that it had a lot more horror elements in there, like Majora's Mask. So, like, I thought that this was really interesting, that it looks like a much more darker take on the Zelda series, which is something that I've been waiting for the Zelda series to do now, is to take a much more mature, darker look, kind of like Twilight Princess, some of the older Zelda titles that looked at a more mature way of portraying Zelda. And I doubt it's probably going to be called Breath of the Wild 2. It's probably going to be called something else, but it's nice to see that they've actually carried on a sequel for the Zelda game. Because they rarely do that. They rarely do direct sequels. So
yeah, it does look like it's following straight on as well. By the looks
it looks like it is a straight follow-on. So, this is going to be really interesting. And they just said that the next Zelda Breath of the Wild sequel is in development. They never said a date or anything. So we could be waiting forever for this. But it looks more far along than Metroid 4. So that's all I can say about that, because we haven't seen anything of Metroid. So
that's true.
But yeah, that was it really. That was Nintendo's E3, which was, as I say, jam packed with a lot of things. Just going through it quickly, just to give it like a nice little breakdown. Zelda Breath of the Wild, nice little teaser at the end there. I like the all the nice announcements that they've done for some of the older titles that they're going to be putting on the Switch. The Witcher was a nice surprise. Luigi's Mansion 3 looked really interesting. Nice to see that Smash Bros is still being updated. No More Heroes 3. A little disappointed that we didn't see any Bayonetta 3, and some games were missing, like Metroid, and we had pointless titles like Resident Evil 5 and 6. They didn't need to be ported to the Switch. And Contra Road Corps was garbage, but I guess Nintendo really don't have any control over that. That's Konami secreting their garbage. Yeah, the Panzer Dragoon remake was nice, and so was Astral Chain as well. Yeah, Nintendo. I'm gonna give them a solid 9 out of 10. They did well.
Ooh.
I didn't really think that they had any filler. They cut straight to the shit. Yeah, there was some games missing, but they're showing off games that are probably coming this year, or if they are coming next year, they will definitely be coming next year, or they will at least having it will be of quality. That's what I expect from Nintendo. So I have a higher quality with them, and I know they will come through with their dates, and they don't give dates unless they know the game's not ready, which is what I like about Nintendo, and especially finding out that they've delayed Animal Crossing due to developer welfare is really, really cool. So I give them a 9 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's quite fitting that on the last one we both agree that it's a 9 out of 10, because I do think it's a 9 out of 10. You basically covered everything that, I looked through all the announcements. There's not a game on here that I wouldn't play, bar Contra, but like you said, it's not in control. They could have put it in a showreel, but obviously they had some relationship. No, it's 4 games, 6 games they're announcing that came out today, so you can understand why it was in there.
Yeah, I do understand why, because the old Contra games are really popular, so people will want to play the old ones, like the Contra collection.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I do understand. But anyway, carry on.
But yeah, like all the games, even like Dark Crystal Age of Resistance Tactics, I'd still consider playing it on the Switch. Like, it's not the best game, but it interested me. But then everything else, all the Smash Brothers DLC, Dragon Quest, Luigi's Mansion 3, we got a big sort of deep dive into that. Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening looks amazing. Witcher 3 was a nice surprise, like you said. No More Heroes 3 was also quite a nice surprise. I had a feeling that was going to be somewhere, but, Panzer Dragoon, again, another nice surprise. Astral Chain. Got to see a little bit more of Marvel Ultimate Alliance. And then we finally got the Animal Crossing we wanted. We already got Super Mario Maker 2 and Pokemon details before this anyway, so we already got the full details on that. And they didn't do too much detailing in the conference. That's what I like about the Nintendo stuff. They get to the point, they do it, and then after they have the Treehouse, and if you want to watch that, it's up to you then. The show isn't split up into loads of parts, because the one thing I didn't like about stuff like EA's conference and stuff like that, no one has that much time to watch stuff. Nintendo get it done, and then if you have the time, you watch it. If you want to catch up later on,
all of them were like that. Like EA, Ubisoft had this really big, long presentation at the beginning before the show started, and then they had like an after show thing, and it was like 3 hours all together. And I was thinking, no one wants to watch that though. Like, it's boring, isn't it? It's just, I don't know what everyone was thinking this year with some of these long drawn out E3s. Like, I thought everyone was gonna go towards the more short form, like direct kind of like presentation style, but it seems like every single company is like stuck to the same format, and it just kind of gets a little bit boring. Like, Microsoft is kind of boring now because they do the same thing. They just do world premieres of games, but a lot of those games are not Microsoft exclusives, so what's the point? Like, it's just like, at least Nintendo is actually showing their exclusives and telling us about them. Like, I think that Sony has gone the right route, maybe not coming to this E3, because I feel like they really felt like, we don't have that much to show, so what's the point? Like, to come here. Like, nothing's coming out until next year, so there's no point us wasting our time to come all the way to E3 to show us a bunch of games that are not coming out yet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's it for our individual E3 coverage, basically. We will get into more detail about Sony not being there and some of the stuff we haven't covered in our roundup episode, which will be live as well after this.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, feel free to do the outro.
Well, that was Nintendo's 2019 E3 Direct. This is the end of the E3 specials. As Tom said, you can check out our recap mega episode, which will be coming out soon-ish. Anyway, it should be coming out around a day after this is released. So, definitely go check that out. The playlist is going to be updated. We've got a ton of things that we need to do and get together. We've had basically a bit of time off. Tom went to America. He was living it up. And I was back in England trying to hold everything down. And we're back together now. We're just gonna get to creating more shows, and we've got some exciting things we're trying to put together. Thanks for the support, and thanks for listening always, as usual. And this has been E3. Next year we will be together, and hopefully at E3. Thanks for listening. 808s and Joysticks. Peace. Welcome to the E3. Fucking hell. Always, whenever I don't have it, like I'm reading the Microsoft one, at some reason in my head it was just like, this isn't a Nintendo one, you need to change to Nintendo. Oh, fuck's sake, Tom.